Hi everyone, Jeb here with Earth and Turf. Hope you're doing well today. We've got a 410 SP maintenance video that we'd like to go over. We'd like to hit a couple of things specifically in this video, the cleaning and the lubrication that you should hit on the machine. For starters, we're going to talk about cleaning specifically. I've got a pressure washer wand. It's not hooked up obviously, but we'll point out some of the places to pressure wash and keep clean. If you have some way of keeping the machine relatively clean on the job site, like a leaf blower, just making sure you don't get buildup, that can be really helpful. But then when you bring it back to the shop, we do highly recommend taking a pressure washer and cleaning it thoroughly. The first cleaning techniques that I'd like to go over are going to be the sensitive parts of the unit. And what I'm referring to here is anything with stickers, electronics, and those sorts of things. The box and hopper and frame we don't have to worry about very much because a lot of those components are very hard and can take the pressure washing. But when you come in here, I'd like to show you a couple of places that I'd recommend to pressure wash. First things first, I would go over the entirety of the machine, like you can see. That way you get most of the debris carried off. Hitting most of these with a mist, I wouldn't spray directly onto, for example, the key switch or any of your stickers, just because you can tend to peel things that don't need to be peeled apart. After you get the most of the debris taken care of, I would recommend taking this seat cushion off, just by sliding it up, taking it off, and then very carefully coming in with your pressure washer and misting this area. You want to be careful that you're not spraying too direct onto engine and components. There's a battery in under here, so you want to be thoughtful about that, but it can take the water to wash it off. Specifically, if you want to come in, I'll show you. This area right here is going to be one of those that we'd highlight you keep clean. This right here is your choke and throttle. You can see how that works. It's important that you keep this area clean so that nothing gets stuck in an on or off position. And of course, those components can have a tendency to collect moisture and rust unnecessarily early. So keep those clean. Again, not maybe spraying directly on it, but using some water or some air to keep all the debris cleaned out of this general area. Once you've got the engine bay and the dashboard cleared out, I would recommend coming in with your pressure washer, cleaning all this area in here. That's not necessarily as sensitive as the engine bay and dashboard would be, but cleaning that will ensure that everything's operating properly, that the park brake engages and disengages properly, and of course, cosmetically, that your machine is clean. Once you've cleaned the back end of the machine, you can come around to the frame and the box, including the side of the machine. I would again take this pressure washer, focus inside of the box. Cleaning the inside is mainly for the purpose of keeping it clear of debris so that nothing collects and packs, makes a mess, and of course for keeping it cosmetically nice, but is not as important as some of the other areas that we mentioned. When cleaning the side of the machine, the most important factor is going to be right in the side of the box in these clean out ports. You'll notice you can insert the pressure washer wand, move it around to make sure that you're cleaning the inside of the box. This is the underside of the belt on the bottom rotation. And then up here is going to be the top of your box, though you cannot feel the belt. You want to clean this to keep any debris from collecting in between and then packing around the roller system, which would cause unnecessary wear and tear on your belt, as well as potentially harming the rollers themselves. When pressure washing, you want to aim water through this direction, move it around as much as possible until you have clean water coming out the opposite side. That's definitely going to be your goal and a focus to make sure that you don't get debris collecting on the belt itself. When you're done cleaning the inside of the belt itself and that water's coming out clear, you can move to the front. I would recommend pressure washing specifically the gate mechanism right here to ensure that material doesn't pack into there unnecessarily. Also, your brush mechanism can be accessed with a pressure washer like so to keep some of that dirt from collecting in the brush itself. This is especially important when you're changing between materials, perhaps between compost or sand or topsoil, to make sure that that debris is not carrying from one job to the next. After cleaning the brush here, you can of course wash the frame, same reason as the back, it just ensures that everything can move freely. Then you can pressure wash the number 40 roller chain on each side. You'll notice there's an access point right here, and then another access point on this side right here and at the back. Those are made that you can pressure wash and keep those clean, but also so that water and material can come back out the bottom. Once you have your machine, specifically the chains, clean, we're going to step to the lubrication phase of maintaining your machine. We do prefer A dry lubricant, something like PB Blaster's graphite spray, WD-40 also makes a dry lube. These are typically a lubrication that's not going to attract excess moisture, which would indeed rust and corrode the machine and the components that you're lubricating. Once you're ready to lubricate, I often will use the straw extension on the WD-40 can. Oftentimes the PB Blaster has it as well, or whatever you're using. And you can come in and see there are actual lubrication points on the chain shield itself. Right here, I can insert the straw and lubricate that chain as needed, moving that around. We do encourage you to cycle the chain as you're lubricating so that you get consistent lubrication all around. You can also access from the inside or from the top port on the opposite side chain shield. Even though the ports make it easy to lubricate on the job, the lubrication will never thoroughly lubricate the chain, and there still may be material that collects inside of those shields. For that reason specifically, we'd recommend removing the shield. This shield right here is going to have a 3/8 bolt and a slot at the back where you can actually slide it backwards and remove it. Once it's removed, you can thoroughly clean the chain. You can clean out the shield to make sure there's no debris whatsoever, and then take your dry lube and mist that chain for a healthy lubrication to ensure that it flows properly. Another very important lubrication point when it comes to maintaining this machine on the daily is to lubricate the pin that holds the steering cylinder in line. There's going to be one on the rear end and the front end of the machine. We still recommend a dry lubrication on that shaft, specifically due to the fact that it is going to be a steel shaft and needs lubricated as there may be moisture, sand, or compost kicked up onto the shaft itself. To do so, you'll reach in from the side, like so, and apply directly to the shaft. To be more effective with lubrication, we would recommend spraying, running the steering wheel full to one side, then spraying again. Same thing with the front and same thing with the rear end. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on how to care for your machine to make sure that it's operating properly and taking best care of the components and machine that you have. Thank you very much and have a great day.